Cleveland County School Board workshop Tuesday, January 3rd, 31st, 2023 comes to order. We go over with prayer to pledge, prayer by Mr. Kenny, pledge by Mr. Hall.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you, God, for the blessings of life. Thank you, God, for the opportunity to be here and take care of school business during this workshop, Father. We pray that you give us a great discernment as we prayed earlier today. Father, we pray that you give us, Lord, what we need. Pray that you be with our board as they have decisions to make. Pray that you give them, Lord, an extra amount of your wisdom, Father, because it is the greatest. Lord, we pray for our families and schools and our children, Father. Pray that you be with our staff. Pray right now, God, that you protect them. We love you and thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
So we're going to go ahead and get started. So just to give you a little bit of history of our school board attorney position here in Liberty County. I can't go back too far, but I will try to go back as far as the chair of the board here. You got elected in 94, 90, somewhere around there. 93. So Judge Hosford actually was the board attorney when Doobie started, and so he got elected, I think, 96. And so when he left that position, J.C. Osteen, who was an attorney out of Tallahassee, he kind of took over a lot of Judge Hosford's practice after he took the bench. Can't tell you a whole lot how that happened. I know after that, James came on not too long after that, I guess. And then I came on in 02, me and Roger, and sometime between there, JC kind of went into a semi-retirement and asked that he just didn't want to do it anymore. And so David House stepped up. I don't remember us doing an RFP back then. I think it was, I can tell you the deal was it was $150 a month retainer. That's what we paid. And the attorneys did not come to the meetings, and that's just kind of the way it was. Judge Austin worked for $150 a month retainer, and then of course if everything in litigation, he did that, and I think that was the same practice up through David House. Somewhere probably in the last 3 or 4 years before Jackson came on, the board voted to pay Mr. House, I think it was $1,000 or $1,200 a month. It was $1,200. That's right. So that's what it is now, and or what we've been paying. And so we paid $1,200 a month, and of course, as I've shared with y'all, PAC, we have the access to those lawyers as well. So this is the first time in my tenure, and probably Doobie's as well, James, that's been here the longest, that we've had an RFP where you had one applicant. We did do an RFP with Jackson. He was the only applicant during that time. So that obviously made it easy to pick. So we have 2 applicants, and so before you, we have their application that they've already submitted. The board has scored about 75% of that, and then the 25% is the presentation day. So we've kind of split them up. I've talked with them ahead of time. They're okay with that. So Jennifer Schuler, Jack Myers is both our applicants. So Jennifer's, is that door shut? Can you see if that door shut? Just privately. They're both okay with that. So we're okay, good. We are within our legal bounds. So anyway, Jack, what we're going to ask you to do is just come, and at the end of the day, just for everybody's knowledge, I recommend all personnel to y'all to make decisions on, except this is y'all's decision. So I will go in your direction. If there's anything you need me to do beyond today, you just let me know. We will not necessarily be choosing an attorney today. If y'all have some leans and some directions you want me to start going, if you say this is the way we scored out, y'all can discuss your scores and all that, between y'all. We can have those discussions after they've done their presentations and left. So however y'all want to do that, y'all just give me the direction you want. What we'd like to do is probably get in a direction maybe today. If you need more time, that's fine. We'll call another workshop, talk about it some more. We can do whatever we want to do. At the end of the day, we'd love to have this named for the February 13th meeting. So that gives us a couple of weeks to do that, and then this person will go in and start working March 1st. So that's kind of our timeframes that we've set up. But if anything of that needs to change, y'all let me know, we'll make those changes, okay? So today, first is Jack Myers, no stranger in Liberty County graduate. And so I'm gonna let him kind of do his presentation, and y'all feel free to ask questions, a little Q&A follow-up when he's done. Okay, you got the floor.
Yes, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. And actually, I'm trying to work with you guys, so you know what y'all want to know about me. That. So this is an opportunity. Y'all got the paperwork there. I prefer to take the question and answer first, because ultimately y'all need the information. And how y'all need to get it, I'm here to provide it. You want to give a little bit of background, like Eddie said, I graduated from Liberty County in 1996. I graduated from FSU in 2000, or State College of Law in 2004. I was a prosecutor for 10 years. After that, I went out on my own and did private practice since then. You mentioned litigation. I think it's important because we do live in a litigious society here. And us lawyers earn our reputation as being scoundrels. Most of them are. Try not to be, but you do get sued from time to time. And the problem with litigation is it's very expensive, and generally the person who runs out of money first loses. So if you got a big company suing you, you don't have the AEC, and so lawyers pay for my insurance, you run out of money quickly, you wind up settling. One of the things that I'm most proud of is I was the county attorney for 5 years. When I started as the county attorney, the out-of-pocket cost to Liberty County for litigation costs was $125,000 the year before I started. I was there for 5 years, and the amount of money that the county spent on litigation other than what I performed for was zero. The reason why is if you're going to hire an attorney, you need to hire an attorney that's going to fight for you, not say, this is a sticky wicket, this could be political, bad for me, I could be making a recommendation here that gets blow back, so I'm just going to punt, let y'all's the AEC lawyer or some other litigation attorney make that decision. It's not a lawyer's job. Lawyer's job is to y'all represent y'all whatever direction y'all want to go in, regardless of how it impacts them. Now, I want to be clear when I said that that it didn't cost Liberty County any more money. In my contract, we had litigation costs, but I never billed it. The reason why is simple. I live here. That's my tax dollars just being spent. My tax dollars being spent here. I got 4 children that moved to the school system. Got $2 that graduated, and 2 more, Lord willing, will graduate here in a little while. They're 11, the 6th grade. So every one of us went to Osborne school. Mother and father went to Osborne school. We could go back as far as you want to go back. Irish Banks taught my mother and me in kindergarten in the same room, which doesn't qualify me for anything other than Mother Liberty County. Anywhere I wanted to go, still here. I traveled to Tallahassee, never moved to Tallahassee to go to school. I never applied to any other school, but I wanted to go here. I made more money doing something else, but ultimately, if you're not going to take the gifts that you've been given and apply to help somebody, what's the point of it? So I am proud of the fact that when I was on the board attorney for the Board of County Commission, that I saved the county life. We all went through Hurricane Michael. Understanding how state government works is important. And he, Mason Keever, was tasked with writing the legislative appropriation request after Hurricane Michael. And even though Godwin County got the vast majority of the damage, they got funded absolutely nothing first go around. We got everything down. And the reason you get what you get is you have to understand the rules. You have to understand the processes. You have to know how to navigate the legislature. You get funding requests. Every year y'all do it. Every year you go over, you ask your representative for money, tell you what you got to do to get it, and you go to get it. But knowing your way around that's important. Having somebody that's done that to navigate your way through it is also important. The issue that faced y'all this last election and the one before that is just the sales tax, and had it, tried to get it back. It failed twice. That's money I'm sure that the board needs. I know the school system needs, and the children need. We were able at the county to get one passed, and get it approved for an extension. The reason has nothing to do with the validity of it, nothing more important than educating our children. It's, I think, my personal opinion, was a wording. The wording of how it was put on the ballot, when I talked to the people in the public, they assumed it was a brand new tax, something new that never been done before. It was gonna be more money out of their pocket. In reality, we all know it's been in place for many, many years, which is continuation. And I'm sure it's pretty on bottom line. Things like that benefit me personally. Because at the end of the day, my property is actually what funds the school board and the county commission. So it doesn't benefit me to come in and charge people a large amount of money to represent them when I'm representing my own children. If the school board doesn't make the decisions, if the school doesn't perform well, my children are the ones that suffer. They're the ones that don't get into the universities they apply. They're the ones that don't get the jobs that they want, et cetera, et cetera. So I take it as a point of pride that I stayed here, not as a point of I wasn't capable of going anywhere else. I was born and raised here, right over there. Board member Morris kept my role in CAF as his class, and she actually took away points every time she told me to not fail. Thank goodness for that. But I'm talking about what y'all, a question y'all have, what research y'all have.
What kind of support system do you have inside the bill?
Well, it's interesting. We hear on TV all the time. If you watch TV, you see all these lawyer commercials about the size of the firm, how big things are. This right here is the practice of law. You're not allowed to file anything anywhere. Everything is done on this book right here. Everybody legal research is right here. So I got law books in my office, they're for shelf. There's a law that's in there old. So everything's done right here. As a member of the bar, what we pay for is legal research ability. So I got a program on here. If you want to know bigger area of the law, literally, just like going to Google, but it's for the law. You plug in the case that you need, the information you need, and it spits it out to you. The days of sitting in a library for hours trying to get an answer, it's just over. It's like with your phone, we won the World Series in 1962. We just understand it. The other thing is, if you got 15 lawyers in a firm, but none of the 15 lawyers have ever litigated anything, never fought for anything, never been in a courtroom actually duking it out, what you got? You got nothing but 15 lawyers. So what winds up happening is, on paper, you can say, I got all the support staff, but what are they supporting you to do? Never tried a case, never argued in front of the appellate court, never went to the cabinet like we've had to do an argument in front of the governor. That's what you pay for. You don't pay for papers, you don't pay for an office, you pay for somebody that's gonna go in there if they need to get the jail. The first thing I had to do as a county attorney was sue the sheriff in Liberty County. We take him to the cabinet, he wanted more money, $360,000 more dollars. And the lawyer before me charged him $20,000. I did it for free, and I'm in front of the governor at the time, Rick Scott, telling him why my sheriff shouldn't get any more money to protect me. Not a popular position to be in, but that's what I get paid to do. I get paid to fight in court. Hopefully we don't go there much, but the way to avoid going to court is being willing to fight. 90% of any fight, whether it be a courtroom or even on the street, is being willing to fight. You're not going to get with somebody that you know will fight you back. But you're not having to. Nobody likes to get in any kind of fights. If you want somebody, I'll just say this, it may not be good to say, but if you want somebody that's gonna look at an issue and worry about what other people are gonna think about the position that I'm gonna take on it, or worry about the political whims of a person, or worry about what their last name is, and what family they came from, and I'm not the guy you want. It doesn't matter to me what his name is, it doesn't matter to me anything. The law is clear cut, and it applies to you, me, and everybody here. So that's another thing I'm proud of. It's hit me in the rear end from time to time, but I do not base my opinion, and I do not get out of cases simply because it's not a popular position to be in. Politicians, you know, you can't make everybody happy all the time. In my world, you make at least have people mad every decision you make. So, as far as support staff goes, it's primarily me and the electronic research tools I have.
Dr. Cochran bunch, we're pre-warning you right now. What will you bring to the board? I mean, you kind of sat back, you've been in this county, you've watched the school board. What are you gonna bring to the board that would be new, that would be, you know, would help the board grow? And as far as professional, you know, advisement, things like that. Just, can you give me, just elaborate some things on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna bring to the board. What I bring to the board is gonna be depending on what y'all ask me to do. You know, what role you can take on. You can just sit at the table and say absolutely nothing, so I can ask a question. That's what I'll do. You won't tell me.
What would be your preference? As far as, you know, what would you expect from the board?
I don't want to be the sixth board member, you know, obviously,
Right.
but in my experience in going, in various counties and various governments and various areas, I got connections that can be beneficial to the board. You don't get a doctorate degree, not have some kind of connections at higher education. You don't have run into circles we've run into and not have people that have children that are in IB programs, which we don't have, or do higher level of dual enrollment that I wish we could have. The connections at the Department of Education is important, and it doesn't matter who gets it. It doesn't matter if I have a connection there that helps the board get something, or you do, or Superintendent Betty is all for the benefit. So what I bring to the board is going to be determined by the board. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to go out and look for grants that other people hadn't found? Do you want me to go out and ask other school board attorneys, hey, how do y'all bring in funding for this? Why is it that every time we turn around, Jackson County is getting something and we're not? What are y'all doing different? That's gonna be up to y'all. Some people want their lawyer to just sit there, keep their mouth shut, and answer a question when I ask it. That's the tax. I want to take it, and that's the tax we'll take. But I prefer, if you have a problem, nobody, at least I don't care who gets the credit. If I can help solve the problem, use me.
Thanks, but can you elaborate a little bit on administrative law? I see a lot of litigation, hear a lot of litigation. What's your background in administrative law?
Chapter 120 is what determines the administrative rules of Florida. And administrative, I think if I remember correctly, you came from FFC. So FFC is 100% rule driven. There's an active statute, you have 394, the rest is rule 64-11. All right, so when you prosecute or defend in that, you're doing the administrative rules. And I've been awarded by FFC 2 years, the attorney of the year in the state of Florida. So I understand their rules, at least their rules about anybody else. Now, rulemaking, what you're talking about with rulemaking.
No, let me interrupt you. I'm not talking about rulemaking. More or less, my background's procurement contracts, and that's where I'm going.
Okay.
We have a lot of questions in administrative law. We've got, I mean, we don't know, we've had to kind of change up some things with the way we're doing procurement. Public meetings, I think we're pretty well versed on public meetings and ethics and things like that. But when it comes to your bids, your contracts, I mean, have you done, RFPs, ITNs, ITB, have you done any, have you handled any administrative functions like that?
Well, at the county, that's, we had to ground it all that. We wrote all the RFPs, we wrote all the RFQs. We wrote all of the policies and procedures that the board members used to grade them.
Were they ever protested?
We did have one, but it was a valid protest, so we just agreed to rebid it. I just didn't have to go through it. It was a mess up in the advertising, so only fair to back up and give everybody a chance to turn everything in. But that's the whole idea of writing it correctly. You write it correctly, eliminate all those things, you greatly reduce the amount of
Better the solicitation, better the contract. That's
right.
just-
Well, I'm gonna assume something here in reading the RFP that's put out that you had some hand in drafting that compared to some other things. But you're right. If you don't cover it, then I come in and I say, well, wait a minute, you said legal services. I thought that meant this.
Mhm.
You thought it meant that.
Right.
you got a problem.
And that's where personally I lean a lot on Jackson. Is to go to him and say, hey, what's your thoughts on this? You know, and we can kind of sit down and go back and forth with administrative law, and I call it administrative law, procurement law, public records, public meetings.
Well,
things.
y'all, how soon y'all have a public records contact person? I'm checking one out, see. Bless your heart. Because if you don't have to get one, and it's probably gonna be some help for too long, because this is a part of the government of Sunshine State, and just about everything you do is a public record, even if you don't do it on a public computer. If you were to text about county business or school board business, that is a public record, even though we did it on personal cell phones. And public record request is something that can take up most of the time. I don't know how many establishments are sure, but most of the time in the county, we get a large public record request. And as long as you follow you respond, I received it, I'm working on it, this is how long I think it'll take me, this is how much I think it'll cost me to procure what you want, here's how I want to provide it, you're fine. It's the ignoring it, or I'll put it in the bottom of my stack, I'll get to it later. Because there's attorney's fees provisions when you violate chapter 119. So they'll send a large thing to him, but as soon as he responds, all of a sudden it falls off, they don't follow up. All they do is fishing. They're hoping he's too busy running the school system to respond. But yeah, RFPs, RFQs, just did an RFQ today, with the jail. You know, he did this on that. Yeah, and so, also, how much do y'all use state contracts? Do y'all use those very much?
Very seldom. I know Kyle knew about them, they all knew about them. I push more on the state contracts just because I was involved in a lot of bidding, you know, with the state. So, yeah, I mean, we're aware of them, but we don't utilize them as much as we're looking at them a little bit more.
We did this past week on some.
Did you?
Yes, yes.
Something awesome.
Yeah, with things like equipment, usually they've done all the legwork for you, right?
Yeah,
You know, John Deere, whatever.
and I'll use the word that you probably won't like to hear, most lawyers don't, is piggyback. You know, an alternate contract source is a very valuable tool that's available. We can piggyback off of other districts' contracts, so. Yeah, we do off the food service, but that's another avenue that I want to explore bigger, you know, as far as legality and administrative law. I think there's a lot of potential there for us to work smarter, not harder.
Well,
So,
competition is your friend. Because if I'm the only one selling trucks, guess what? It's expensive. As soon as you move into town selling trucks, we're competing with each other. And the more you got, prices come down, that benefits you. And that whole idea behind the state contract is you know what a fair price is when you win. You know the state park can get it for this. So that gives you some bargaining tools. You need to go out and say, look, I can just buy 10,000. If you can't get better than that, I'll just go buy a state contract and I can have it every week.
my last question, and it's a standard interview question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, there's a lot to that. Professionally, I hope I'm still. I've been practicing law almost 20 years. I still got 11-year-old kids, so I'm still gonna be working like a dollar goes on. Try to get them through school, but through college. Hopefully. I see myself right here. If I was gonna go anywhere, I've done left my school, I can have that there to do it. Personally, I hope I get a little more time to do some of the things I like to do, hunting, fishing, and things like that, but I realized it's everywhere, it's over, I need to go one time. So, but no, I don't have, hopefully I'm still right here. I don't have any plan of going.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, let me ask you this. You applied for the school board attorney. What other entities, if any, do you represent, county, city, or other counties or other cities?
At this time, none, other than I was the county attorney, the only other entity I represent is County of Liberty Credit. Which does, you know, it's not this, but it's just the other big client I have.
If in the future, if you are selected as our attorney. Again. Say the county job comes up, you apply for that and get that. Where is your loyalty going to lie between if the county and the school board has to go to mediation on something? Would it be with the county, would it be with us?
There's a problem, because once, if I represented you in the past, 20 years ago, and now I represent him, I can't represent him. There's conflict of interest, because sometime in the past, you gave me personal information about your position, that I'm at an advantage representing him against you, so I'd have to recuse myself, means you'd have to get another lawyer. Now, the good news is you represent the board, so sometimes the boards turn over, and I'm going to say this tongue in cheek, but it is true. I don't think if the county attorney job come over another 45 times, you have to worry about me working for them again.
Say the city attorney, say the city come up, we have run into the conflict with the city on a couple of different things, you the city attorney for them, and for us.
I don't think you can adequately represent either one of us. That's why I don't think you need to pick which one you're going to represent. Because how do you, for instance, you talk about the library is a room, right? The library, when they had to move it, the county saying, we want y'all to pay for it. The school board saying, we want y'all to pay for it. The city, it's in the city. The city's got drainage issues right now in front of the school. I'm sure y'all screaming every time it rains, fix it. They're saying we ain't got any money. So you don't want somebody that can't go in. I mean, what happens if you need to sue the city? How do you sue them? Yeah. So what you need to, and I think it was in the RFP where I think you call it a royalty privilege, but that's kind of what it is. You work for us. You work for us, nobody else. So probably should have a almost like a non-compete situation where if you represent us, you can't represent them. Because there's going to be this, especially with the city, with the gas tax sharing, the city and the county are going to argue over who gets what the county collects from that affect what y'all do. So there's going to be litigation on that. It hasn't happened, but it's coming. Because the city's realizing they're getting short, the state on that. Because all the gas stations are in the same statute says that where the gas stations are situated, determines who gets the money. So there's going to be a lawsuit. When all this flush money we have from Hurricane Michael and from COVID and from all of that works its way through, and we get broke again, which we're going to eventually run out of money, that's coming. They're going to sue about that.
You said litigation, your personal experience in representing the county in a lawsuit with the sheriff. Any other litigation that you've been involved with?
Well, you remember Maxwell Harrell Library?
Right.
Maxwell Harrell had a trust. He was up there with us. And Chip Hall was involved, University of Florida, Liberty County was involved, the county commission was involved, and Snow's trust decided they wanted a bigger bite of it, so they filed a lawsuit to disband the trust. And was trying to give us the shaft. We weren't going to get anything. University of Florida was going to get a lion's share. And so we went up there and held firm through that litigation. I think we wound up with a pretty good deal. It's a $500,000 scholarship to Chipola for Liberty County resident students, $500,000 Liberty County residents, plus the county commission got a good little chunk. I think the school board got a lot of money, but a little payout there. And so, that's another example. You got to be willing. I know it's University of Florida, but right's right. So I hope we have students that are aware of those scholarships and are applying for, because that's a huge deal. I can tell you that for those of you who don't have kids in college, be thankful, because when I went to school, it was $31 a semester an hour, and now it's $200.
Yeah.
So we can tell the students about that, and you take advantage of it.
Got one more question. If, and we hope this is a big if, we had a case that went as high as the Supreme Court. would you be the one arguing it, or would somebody else have to argue?
I would prefer me. That's what I was talking about before, is it's kind of like, be tearing the truck down and you have to put it back together. At some point, you need to handle that from the beginning, because no, you can't teach somebody what your strategy is being. There's nothing prohibiting us from going as far as we need to go. It would be the first time I would go there.
This question, and not just the Supreme Court of Florida, Supreme Court of the United States, if it went that far. Because I think one of our previous attorneys argued that far. Do you meet the qualifications to argue that far?
Yes.
Do-
I'm a member of the federal bench. I go up to the Supreme Court. And believe it or not, even what the Supreme Court ruled last term, little school districts are just as prone to it because, well, how much I paid attention, but there was a girl that didn't get picked for a extracurricular activity. She went on Snapchat, did a couple one finger salutes and a couple of F-bombs about the softball team, the cheerleading squad, and she was suspended from school. I don't know, that's the Supreme Court. Great exercise of her previous speech. Same way with the high school team, which pray soccer last year. They don't have spirit exercise, so issues that don't pertain to education at all, as long as I'm a kid, y'all in court, but you make policies trying to keep it orderly in school, and then somebody does something, and they might assume. But the answer is yes, there's nothing prohibited in going to whatever court belongs to my lawyer. And most of the time, when I look at the federal court, the reason why is in the state courts, you have a limitation on how many damages you can get. School board can't pay more than $400,000 in damages, especially in legislature. You go to federal court, the School Under Civil Rights Act, there's a limitation on how much damages you get. So lawyers that like to sue counties and school boards and all that, they like to sue the federal court. There's a potential for more money. Mr. Dewey, I know you got a bunch of questions.
I just got a simple, but I mean, it's simple. If I decide I can run into an issue and I call you, are you gonna respond? Take your time and talk with me, or any board member like that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the quickest way to lose a client is not talk to them, whether it be a school board, whether it be a private client. If you don't pick up the phone to call the lawyer unless you need something.
Right.
I mean, most of the time you're like, it's not a pleasant conversation you're about to have, because you're either got a stressful situation going on, or something bad just happened. So the short answer is yes. If you don't answer the phone, you don't have a client very long.
I'm good, Jack. You've answered a lot of questions. I've known you a long time.
That might work against you though.
All right, any other questions? All right, any further questions?
Now,
Jack?
you mentioned earlier, y'all gonna try to make a decision. I assume right now, PAEC is giving y'all some guidance until y'all get an attorney on.
Correct.
Y'all gonna try to do that in February.
We would like, so we have a board meeting on the RFQ, RFP, sorry. It's February 15th. We're gonna adjust, I think, the 13th, because that's a half day for Valentine's Day. And Jason's got a hot date that night, so we're gonna, we actually moving that to the 13th, so I would love to have that as an agenda item and make a decision at that 13th meeting.
So I guess the question would be, if you make a decision on the 13th, you expect the person to start at that.
March
that
1st.
meeting.
March 1st.
Gotcha.
It's on a little schedule thing.
Yeah, I thought I seen that, but.
Yeah, March 1st. Yeah, good question. Good question.
That's all I have.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, and, I mean, I can understand what y'all do, I appreciate what y'all do for the youngins. I know what it is. I can only imagine the phone calls y'all get. Till 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, well,
It's not that bad.
no, I don't think it's as bad. As bad as it used to be, maybe.
Awesome.
All right, y'all got any more questions? Y'all know how to get hold of me. Thank you.
All right, Jack, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coming in, something.
Drive safe.
Thanks, sir.
Come on in.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Grant.
So we're gonna go ahead and let you,
No, actually,
you got some proof.
that's right.
So Ms. Shooter, we're gonna let you set up. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of say what we said before, Mr. Myers spoke. This is very informal, please feel free, just to be yourself. We're going. Everybody, I'll tell you what I've given the board members, I've given them, your application. They have scored that,
Okay.
first 75 points, which was on there, so this is a 25-point thing, they will score that. After today, or after the presentation, we'll talk about doing that. We would like to try to start honing in on a person, possibly tonight, depending on how quick the board wants to move. Our schedule right now is to have that settled at the March meeting. I'm sorry, February, and then that person will start March 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of the schedule that we're on right now. So if we need to have more workshops, we need more discussion time, then we'll obviously, I'm gonna do what the board asked me to do. Out of all the positions that the school board has in it, which is about 215-ish, 216 employees, it is my job statutorily to make recommendations, except this one. They get to make this decision. So this is used, you can feel free to share whatever you want to share. Like I say, they have your application if you want to kind of hit some of those high points, whatever you want to share with us. And then maybe a Q&A time for you and for them. So
Right.
you have a full.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm Jennifer Schumer. I think we've met before, but I'm a resident here in Liberty County. I serve as the Liberty County attorney. And I'm also of counsel with a firm called Candy Arundel Harrison Sale, which has an office in Panama City and some other offices. I'm board certified in city, county, local government law. I've been practicing local government law since my whole legal career, basically, but since 2002. I think Candy Arundel is a good fit for me to be part of your team as your school board attorney, because they've got some really excellent local government attorneys, and in particular, some really qualified education attorneys. We've got 2 board certified education attorneys that serve in our, that work and serve in our Panama City office. So I think that having the firm be part of this proposal with me gives me more to offer you. I wanted to kind of maybe take a little bit of time to highlight some of my experience that I think qualifies me, that I can go over in a lot of detail in my proposal. But I did want to point out that I am a almost full-time local government attorney. I represent the county, I represent cities, special districts. I've been doing some work for the Okaloosa County and the Bay County School Board. So every day I get up and I'm working on local government law because that's my passion. One thing that I did is in my resume, but I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, is I spent about 5 years doing legal defense for local governments who got sued. I basically worked for the insurance companies that covered counties, cities. That's how I met Juicy. My husband was representing the Liberty County Sheriff's Office in the lawsuit. But I think that really gave me a lot of knowledge about employment law, tort cases, civil rights cases, the types of constitutional challenges that local governments face. And that really helps me advise my clients on how to avoid those lawsuits and going forward. How can we eliminate our liability or minimize our liability so we don't end up in a costly lawsuit? I have a lot of transactional experience, contracts, leases, real estate transactions. I have a lot of purchasing background, procurement. I spend probably 50% of my time now trying to help local governments navigate competitive bidding situations. There's a lot of statutes and laws about that, and things you need to do, especially if you got a particular funding source that you're trying to satisfy, that you're doing it right. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I have background in the Sunshine Law, public records, ethics. I know that you all attended my presentation this past summer, which I appreciate. I have administrative law experience. I've represented clients in DOA hearings. I've represented local government clients in board and appeals and hearings in front of regulatory agencies. I spend all the time doing, every day I'm doing statutory interpretation for my clients, which I know that especially in education law, we've got a lot of really complex state statutes that you're trying to navigate and Department of Education regulations that you need to be sure you're dotting on your I's and crossing on your T's. I spend a lot of time doing that, helping my clients do that. I also understand how to run a public hearing in a way that meets your statutory requirements and also ensures due process. I know that's another really important thing that you as a school board is doing, is making sure that those hearings that deal with disciplinary matters, or those hearings that are dealing with employment law issues are run correctly and run in a way that protect the decision that you end up making. So again, I'm really excited about this opportunity, helping me branch out a little bit more in my local government experience, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
On your fee structure, you're talking about procurement, would that procurement advice us be under the flat month?
It is. I think most of the work I'm gonna do for you will be covered under your flat monthly fee. I want you to get your money's worth with that retainer fee. And that would be kind of day-to-day advice, attending the meetings. The other things that I'm proposing in that fee schedule have to, the other types of payments would have to do more with large projects, specialized type of things like representing litigation or real estate transactions. But generally, I think most of the work will be covered under your monthly retainer.
And would you, I know you're with this group, also with this group, would you be our attorney if you were selected? You would be the one sitting here every month, unless you receive.
That's right. I would be here to do the
It would be a different person.
No, it wouldn't. You'd be seeing me every time. I would be doing most of your work. I think the only time that I'd probably be reaching out to other and/or attorneys is if I need advice. Again, we've got these two great school board attorneys that I work with that I'm sure I'll be knocking on their office door and getting their thoughts on things. Or there might be a litigation case or a real estate transaction that you need help with that I can reach out to other attorneys in the firm to make sure that you're getting what you need. Hand-Aaron-Dahls also nationally recognized bond counsel. So because of that, we're able to do a lot more in-house and save our clients money on public financing matters, which are really complicated and can get kind of expensive.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Flowers, or you gonna ask her the same question you asked Jack about that? That's it.
Did you want to ask any questions?
Well, she already, one on the fee structure. I asked Kyle about this when he and I were sharing. And, you know, it's talking about the fees for bond issues, certificates, participation in bank borrowing shall be at a fixed rate of 95% per thousand.
Right.
With a minimum, and Kyle says the typo is like 100,000, but it's 10,000.
Well, mine says 10,000. Here's one that said 100,000.
I got 6 zeros, 5 zeros.
Okay, yeah, no, I see that. Sorry.
So we make that just script, you know. Well, that'll get in, also the reimbursement for the, what, thing back to the bond, how long has we done the bond?
High school here, 70 in late 70s.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if that would be an issue, because I don't know if we can do it on it or.
We don't know, you know, it's
Right.
kind of like litigation. You don't know. It could happen, you know, back tomorrow. Wake up in the morning and have litigation, you know.
Just go on past history.
Right, it just based, and then usually, I like to go back about 5, maybe 10 years, but if it ain't, if they're not long.
The only other thing was on the reimbursement for membership for the association.
Right,
That's a year.
That's right.
$150 a year for that membership.
yeah, so it's based on the size of your school district, or on the smaller side, so if that would be on the low scale, it's a $500 flat fee. And that would cover my membership and attendance at their meetings, if I wanted to participate, CLE. The really thing that's really great about those organizations is that in addition to those things, you get on a listserv with other school board attorneys and across the state, and you're sharing questions and resources, and we all help each other. We can get forums that way, and I get, like, for instance, I'm on the Florida Association of County Attorneys Association, and every month I get on a phone call with a lot of the county attorneys around the state. We're talking about the issues that are emerging, that our clients are dealing with, legislation that might be pending that we should be paying attention to. So I think it's a great tool to keep you and me focused on the things that are happening around the state that we need to be aware of.
So it's a flat fee per year?
It's a flat fee for a year.
Per year. I have about 3 questions.
Okay.
A lot of them you've already touched on. What would we bring to the board, to our board? The Liberty County, where, it sounds like to me you have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. Our attorney has been, was very helpful to me with procurement. My background in procurement contracts. So, when it comes to an RFP or an ITP, we're looking at changing things. We're looking at making things better, making our documents better.
Right.
Besides that, I know it sounds like you have some procurement experience. What would you bring to the board? Fresh.
Okay.
Tell me what, is what you know about the board, what you know about other boards now. What would you want to bring to the board? Let me just put that.
Well, I will say that before I started as a Liberty County attorney, I was working full-time in Bay County for 9 years. I was glad to give up the commute. I also gave up a large salary and a benefit package. And the reason I did that was because I care about Liberty County. I wanted to bring my skills home. I think I have a lot to offer. Maybe not fresh and new, but I think I have a great foundation of local government law in every area that can help you navigate these problems and the issues we face. So I really just wanted to bring my expertise home to my home and use it to help my community. I don't mean that in a bragging way, but it's what I do, it's what I'm passionate about, and I want to do it here.
I think that had a lot to do with me running for school board. I had commuted to Tallahassee for over 30 years, and I could be retired and sit at the house and not keep a grandbaby and be happy as a mom, issue and whatever. But I'm like, why don't I use what I learned and bring it back home when you're not right. I feel the same way. You mentioned procurement, administrative law. Have you been? You said you've been to DOA.
Yeah, I have participated in some DOA hearings for clients. One was a bid protest at Representative County, was protesting the ability hearing for administrative law convention. We didn't win. I represented Dade County in another DOA hearing with some other counties that were fighting the way that EJJ, the state counties had to help fund EJJ. That also saved a lot of counties money. Liberty County doesn't do that kind of cost sharing because we're fiscally constrained, but I am familiar with that 120 process.
Well, and here's an oldie building, and I asked the other proposer as well. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This could potentially be a 5-year contract. So where would you see yourself?
I don't have any plans to go anywhere. This isn't a stepping stone to another bigger school district or another bigger county, another area. That's not my intention. So I see myself here in Liberty County, just trying to continue to make improvements and enjoy my family and my community. Thank you.
My turn.
Yeah.
Litigation wise. Personal experience. How many times have you been involved personally handling all the litigation?
Okay, so, when I worked with my law partners in Panama City, we were one on which was my maiden name, I really was a litigator. That's pretty much what I did full time. So I had dozens of cases that I was doing for local governments, handling all aspects. Some cases end up at trial, most cases settle before trial, but I have a lot of litigation background. I will tell you, I'm a little more rusty. I still do some litigation, but I'm more rusty at it. That's a lot of times my clients have insurance counsel. So what I end up doing a lot more now, although there's still some cases that I'll do, like I'll get an injunction or I'll prosecute a county, violation case in the county court or something like that. But a lot more now, I'm paying attention to it, I'm managing it. I'm helping the client understand what's happening for litigation. So I don't do a lot of hands-on litigation anymore, but I have a lot of experience. Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Good point. I'm trying to figure out, I'm gonna ask you
All right.
questions, Steve. And I said litigation, maybe in a court case that you represent the school board, would you be representing us in that court case, or would it fall, say, under your, I guess, bigger attorney firm? On the hand there now. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of, and I don't know about your insurance, I have to learn about your insurance coverage. A lot of times, the first question I'm gonna ask if you get served with the lawsuit is, do you have insurance coverage to cover that lawsuit? And if you do, your insurance company's gonna assign you defense counsel, which is what I used to do. If I get involved and I have to represent you in litigation, I would probably do it in conjunction with other hand-down law attorneys. There are some cases that I have brought personally for some local government clients that are a little bit on the smaller side. I got like going and getting an injunction to knock down an unsafe structure. I've gone and done that in court by myself in a litigation proceeding. But if it was a complicated case, I would probably have other hand-down law attorneys help.
Another question. One of our past attorneys, we had a lawsuit in the county, wound up going to the Supreme Court to argue that case. Do you have the qualifications to do that as our attorney? And would you do that?
Okay, I never argued in front of the Florida Supreme Court. I have argued in the first DCA when I was a Bay County attorney in a case that we didn't get insurance coverage on. So I went through a trial court that won a summary judgment motion and got appealed, and we went to the first DCA. So I do feel qualified. Again, I would make sure that I had all other qualified people with me that could help me along.
What if it went to the Supreme Court of the United States? Would you have the qualification to do that?
No, I would not. I mean, if you're going to the Supreme Court of the United States, you want counsel that is experienced doing that, probably to get admitted. Like you get admitted in certain, I'm admitted in the Northern District, I am admitted in federal court to practice, but I would not probably be your attorney in the U.S. Supreme Court. I would definitely be quaking in my shoes.
But possibly your firm, that's the name of your firm.
What's the name you say that for short?
I say Hand Arundel, it's Hand Arundel, Harrison Sale. But
And there and all,
yeah,
would hand their dog would they meet these qualifications?
I would have to inquire to see if anyone in our firm has done that before. You got something pending I need to know about?
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're gonna try to hard questions, not really,
That's okay.
they easy question, sometimes hard to answer. But, no, and I think that's probably all I've got, I think still.
Did you ask about county versus the?
Oh, yeah, I had, that's one else. As, and I got it wrote down here and I still forgot that. If we hired you as our school board attorney. And we run into a conflict with the county, and you're the county attorney. The loyalty, who's your loyalty gonna be, to us or to them?
Okay, so, I would represent the Liberty County Board of County Commissioners. But Liberty County Board of Commissioners is not a client of Hand-Aaron-Dall. So there would be, I don't think there'd be a conflict to have another Hand-Aaron-Dall attorney come in and help you instead of me. Or you could seek outside counsel if you don't come here with that. We'll say hired me.
That's why is it because they hired you first?
It is because they hired me first.
What if we gonna be right, they gonna be wrong?
See, I don't really get out of the way.
So we have PAEC attorneys, county doesn't have a PAEC, they have her.
Correct. It's just a different, they're part of the League of the Counties and y'all are part of the School Board Association, I'm part of FADS. But we're part of a consortium of school boards, right, school districts, rather, so that's a kind of a perk. We pay for that, we want to take our property casualty, piles of stuff, you know. Lord knows, Melanie's not in here, we've been just going through stuff today, but we pay on part of those memberships in the PAC will provide, it's the same guy, it's Bob Harris, he represents both.
And I want to ask you this in front of all the board members. And Ms. Schuler, if we needed their representation in that instance, could they represent us?
Yeah, they could, it would have, you have to kind of do a case by case basis on what the issue was. And those kind of things, I know that anytime we've been, had suit for discrimination, wrongful termination. We were recently hit with a federal suit on a disability issue. Bob has represented us in all of those. Because they're basically suing your insurance company. It's kind of almost what they do. That's who's going to pay it out.
And they won't use their own.
Yeah, and so they do. So far since I've been here and my time on the board, that's been 100% of the time.
I will say, I haven't noticed a lot of areas where there was a conflict between, I mean, there's not a lot of business that I think the county does some business with the school board, but I have maybe a couple of instances since I've been county attorney and here or there. I don't think it'd be a lot of times. Whereas in contrast, I would not apply for the city attorney job for Bristol and be the Liberty County attorney. That I think there would be too much conflict. We'd have a lot of overlapping jurisdictional issues that I don't think it's the right thing to do.
I think I'm good.
Thank you.
We're gonna be looking forward to that training class maybe this year sometime.
I was not here. I think the only elected official up there. And I was sick that day.
Okay.
But
I was very sick that day.
I'm not
I have my ear out.
I got just a little bit of thing I asked the other guy. If one of us call you, you don't have time to return a call and talk to us
Absolutely,
on an issue and all.
absolutely. Happy to do that anytime.
If not, call Lisa.
You know, Ducey literally texted me tonight and said, don't forget your meeting. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna forget that meeting. I just did that proposal for him, and he was helping.
Not that I was found where about.
He does. He does.
Any other questions from the board?
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, yeah, thank you. So you wasn't no need to be nervous in the courthouse over there now.
Drive safe.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The next we have, Mr. Chair.
Just 2 minutes.
It's time to talk now.
We're long, you do it. Give me 3, give it 5, all the next one, bring it down, just like.
I gotta try that one, read it, when I'm going home. They call you tonight.
Come to you tomorrow. You gotta get out work out here tonight.
You going this way?
You know.
Trying to get that, it's only every other day. Good bus.
But I'm glad that you were up there. I could provide.
Say it right here.
Son granddad up and crying for the first 3 days.
I started
All about.
calling that night, say.
Okay, I got you, I'm putting it on my calendar right now.
Also in 6 weeks, I'm gonna find it in 2 weeks. I'm gonna try my, that's the plan.
Where you going in? What's going for Valentine's Day?
Hot chocolate.
Chicken fingers.
Did they give you the diet? I mean, they tell you, where's this place at? It's
It was
online.
just All right, you guys ready?
It's still back.
All right, thank y'all for having me. I called Kyle several weeks ago, when I was approached about statutorily, having this done, the redistricting process. And, throughout the packet, I'm not gonna touch on every single slide, but statutorily, we do not have to make a change. No change is required, but there is a requirement to look into it and to see if a change needs to be made. So basically, you see that the population has not changed that much in Newberg County. That's not news to any of us. But if that population has moved around a little bit in the county and made one district bigger than the other, disproportionately, that's what we're looking for. So that's what we're gonna look at. What is redistricting? The difference between redistricting and reinforcement. Who is required to act? When is action taken? What laws apply and how do we get started? So I got 911 coordinator Ben Guthrie. He has printed off a beautiful map. He's got everybody's got a star on everybody's all our school board members and county commissioners. Don't have names on it, just has a dot wherever you live. There's a couple close to the line. I think that's basically what we're talking about. When we do get into the redistricting process, that's one of the criteria is trying to keep incumbents in their district. Jackson County had a feeling because the map that the board approved was different than the map that the school board approved. It knocked two school board members into the same district. One district didn't have a high school in it, so they have a lot more factors that they had to think about. But I think ours is going to be a little bit more simple than that. But basically, what we need to do is we got 5 districts and we want to have the same population in all the districts. Now, a little bit earlier, Mr. James was talking about the prison, and that's the one factor that I think that is going to catch us and force us to move our lines is if we take out that prison population. There's a lot of case law that's leaning toward not using the prison population for obvious reasons. They don't vote. A lot of them are not from our county. I got a 14-page email today from one of the firms that's bidding on the redistricting process. They did in, I want to say it was Jefferson County. But they have Jefferson County sound like about 60,000, 65,000 in population, and they only had 2,000 in their prison, which is way less than the percentage of what the our population. That they were all in one district, and they ruled that they weren't going to count the prison population, so that skewed. It gives it said that it went against the one vote, one person, one vote law. But another thing that's going to help us to not, because obviously it's going to be easier to not move our lines and to not have to do this. Us being an at-large districts, I think it's going to help us because one district's not fighting for more representation because we all vote for you guys.
You still represent the same amount of people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even though they made it different.
Yeah.
So the only people that ever had any effect on it would be a little line. And again, trying to keep the incumbents in the same district would be if I'm planning on running and I live in District 1 right now. And then you move a line out in District 2, and it ain't even up for election or whatever. I don't want to against it or whatever. So that's just a couple of things that we would have to look at if we were at large districts, but or if we were single member districts. If we are not.
Do you have a copy of what Ben did?
I do have one copy. He is going to get me a electronic file of that, and I'll be glad to email those to y'all. It's in my office. I put it up on the wall. I mean, it's right when I got it, I put it on the wall. I mean,
Okay.
everybody's asking about that.
Yeah, it's the one now, right? It's the way it's district
Right.
now.
That's right.
So it's horrible.
That's right. And that's one of the things that we have to do for the person who is bidding. We have to provide what's current.
Right.
Because obviously they need to know what the.
Do you have what's kind of being thought about?
Not at all.
Not at all.
We have put out the RFP. That's where
Okay,
we're at.
okay.
We have not had anyone bid
Does
on it
any
yet.
county have to do an RFP or either it's?
Every 10 years, every county, every municipality, they're required to do the district. Now, that does not mean they have to change every 10
You
years.
just have to-
They have to address it, yes. So on
Y'all
page
have not
3,
changed some last, you've been here long enough, right? Yeah, we've never. You go back, we'll go back to you. Yeah, I don't remember us ever changing.
I think that we did, y'all talked about it, I think we did change it, we had to. Yeah, because we had to add the prison population into it, so we had to move line in there.
There wasn't any major differences where we had different people in different, now we became District 2 or one or something like that.
and of course, and this is very preliminary, of course, we haven't even got started with it, but if it comes to fruition, and it looks like there's going to be changes, there will be maps, there'll be maps up on that TV that we can look at and interact with before. Just my biggest thing was I wanted to have your guys' blessing that you're gonna agree with what they do. Now,
Who's
they
they?
say that, the Board of County Commission, because the last thing we want is two different sets of districts like Jackson
Well, we
County.
don't know. I mean, I'm just talking about Jody, you know. How can we agree with it? We don't know.
It's like,
You're just giving us a heads up
This is a
right now.
heads up. is
do
all.
you have any
Since
idea
you-
where the county's leaning at?
Yeah.
They said anything to you or anything?
This is exactly what I did with them. We went over this.
Okay,
and
When we've done it in the past, Fran, we've actually done a meeting
I would love to do that.
yeah.
I would love to
And
do
that way,
Everybody-
everybody's kind of knows.
You can do this thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way I want to go with. I can feel
You can't ask them to agree with us, I don't know.
I think, fair one. That's a fair one.
That's what we done.
Yeah.
That's what we've done.
Yeah, so, whatever. I understand.
We'd be glad to
Is
host it.
this one of these code, is this?
Super council.
Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of sort of is, but the city commission's kind of not in that.
City commission.
So this,
Sure, okay.
So you have to redraw their
Yes.
lines, you have to look at this,
That's the city would have to look at that. This is strictly the.
looking at the under the same guidelines as we are. Yeah.
Not necessarily. Right now, the city is precinct for his district. 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And precinct 3 is all city. But that has nothing to do with.
Well, if they take the prison out, they take that 1-for-1, take the prison numbers out.
You're looking at some lines changing.
Yeah.
Because District 1 is the prison.
Stone Village.
District 1 and District.
District
Well,
4, District 4 goes to the prison, but the population is in district, most of the population of the prison.
you're right, James, I remember that.
I
Yeah,
thought,
it's right through the middle of it, but they live in District 4.
yeah, I thought it moved right down the middle.
Good,
Their
right.
residents, their homes are in.
They're ready for that now.
They don't have to change because they built that work in on that side of the.
They stay there where they would sleep.
They're using it as a training facility right now.
The new work in is on that side of the prison and they working on getting it open back up right now.
So that would be something, that would be an issue that they.
But there's no laws or anything right now saying that we can't use the prison population, is there?
But they're looking at it,
They're
they're
working, but there
Like Jim said, yeah.
are lawsuits against counties who are not using the prison.
There's nothing in, is there any legislation coming through or anything, have you seen any?
I think potentially.
Okay. But you're tracking that, you
That's
kind of
right.
gonna let us know
That's right.
where we are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I read
So
the district.
common criteria for redistricting, obviously, the most common is going to be equal population. This is slide 7. Means residents, not registered voters. So that's a point there. Ideal population would be total population about 5. That's obviously not always applicable. They're looking at nothing more delineated than 10%. So 10%, you're looking at, obviously, you're not gonna have the exact same numbers. And again, we've got to count on that census being correct too. We had, the reason why we're doing it in 23 instead of doing it in 21 is COVID had, the census numbers didn't come in 2020 like they normally do because of COVID. So you have to do the redistricting in an odd number year, and we don't have an election. So this is the fastest we can get to it. And then there's the other 2, I'm looking at that map, and if we move District 1 down at all, then where we're gonna move District 4, because the bottom of District 4 is Logic Creek, and they like using, creeks, rivers, highways, things like that, so.
Well, you're saying, I mean,
You got it, you move that district at all, dude. I mean, James is right on the line. James is on the line.
Here.
He's,
It's
it's
the
all.
city line right there and the district line, it's weird.
Be the only one that everybody said.
District 5 should be every commissioner, every school board member, and
I got it.
a million others, because that's a big old district land wise anyway. We've advertised for a bid, for this, and the bids are due February 2nd. They're gonna choose a firm, the board will choose a firm to do the study. And,
They pay for all that.
yes,
They pay for all that.
yeah, so that's another
As
reason why they,
they should.
yeah, that's another reason why they wanted y'all's, cooperation on that. Significant boundaries, we talked about that. When is action taken? We're taking action right now. On completed audit every years, and then, the census data was delayed because of COVID. So what's going on now, the board did decide to, not hire a committee, appointment committee, just like they did. They did an audit, when we did the auditor, there was 5 or 6 of us that was on the committee that recommended the person, to the board. So they did not, wind up doing that on slide 11. Keep on moving now. What I'm doing today, reaching out to the school board, involved in the process, citizens. I think that, that Dan is excited about getting back into mapping. He said it's been a while since he's done that, but he had a good time. Said he did anyway. Now he may have just been blowing smoke, but he said he had a good time. He said it took him all day to do it, but
So let me go back just a minute, Grant, so.
yes.
We're not doing a committee, y'all, Macon County's not doing a committee,
No committee, we're just advertising for bid.
and who's your and who's
I guess it kind of,
evaluation team, so the county, yeah,
as
okay.
far as questions or comments or anything about the RFP, is right now it's Daniel and myself. So, and like I said, Jackson County just went through it. I've been talking to their supervisor of elections about the process, but she was elected in 20, and they wound up doing it in 21 because they've not done it for over 40 years. So she was when the numbers come in, she was ready already to jump on it. Obviously, if there is a change, we have to make a notice of that, for everybody, but several public hearings, there's gonna be public hearings about it. Which will be advertised, y'all all know about that. And again, we'd be happy to have your input. Again, we can have another super council, not technically, but, have your input on it.
County and school.
Well, we would like, I won't say, I speak for Jody and I speak for the board. I'd like to have you back in here, once you get a little bit more information.
Okay.
I'd love it, once you get further along in this process, you get the evaluations done, you've got a vendor, y'all start working together.
With the county commissioners, you leave.
Yeah, I'm here for.
Just put me on the agenda, when's the next meeting?
I think February 13th.
We probably won't have much.
If we, I could schedule a workshop, this committee for.
Yeah.
I know you coaches and help coaches, we'll work around some of the ball games and stuff like that. We may
And I'm
have to-
talking way out, I mean, like you'll be working with your vendor, you'll be, y'all will be talking. Any information you can feed back to the board, especially if there's gonna be changes. We definitely, I mean,
I'll get what we have.
2024 is coming on fast, so.
Those county controllers-
It's sitting there. I will have a-
We got-
Run in there and thought, oh.
It's a better map.
Good, okay, thank you,
We're gonna try to make it as easy on you as we can.
yes.
Okay.
You know, at least I'm not where I'm from. Tell the county commissioners, they need you on us.
You bet y'all back.
Yeah.
I might patch you back. That's how I roll.
Does anybody want another copy of this? Did you get one?
I got one.
Okay.
Thank you, Grant. Great presentation.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
They y'all want to do something? There, email, do I have? I'll email you and let you send it out.
I'll do that, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Gunn.
Y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
Next, superintendent, discuss the building usage and resolution.
Okay, so. In your folder, I've got a little outline there that says use of facilities. Behind that is actually our usage sheet, of what we've been using. I can tell you, to the best of my knowledge, and I'll try to make this very quick. And again, we're not taking any action on this, just to talk about the current rates for building. If you remember, Miss Gloria Parrish has been coming, I think I talked with most of y'all that she's interested in possibly having a church service here, and which would require rental of the facility. The current rates in this form probably has not been updated probably since the 90s as far as the fees. This form, this one here, I'm sorry, it should be behind that. There's a application for use of building facility. Not a whole lot to it. Kind of breaks things into categories. The main thing is that, you know, you have insurance, and then, you know, you got some fees that are in there. It does have some subjectivity for me and for you. Obviously, y'all trust me to do that, or enable me to do that. Typically, we waive fees if it's benefiting children, if our children are involved, for age. I've actually been waiving some fees for some of this pro style volleyball. I like to keep things going here. That does a couple things. That helps our parents not to drive to Marianna or Tallahassee or Panama City to play ball. But what we do is we have arrangements for these pro style, and I'm telling you, it's pilot kids. We get all the concessions. So what Jennifer's been doing in high school, she comes and helps manage that. And like she's been rotating. Okay, so for this Saturday's tournament, boys basketball is going to get concessions, and they come and work the concessions. They're making really good money for their programs doing that. And I want them to keep doing games here. It keeps our people and parents from having to drive somewhere, stay overnight, eat out. Everybody comes here from outside counties, eat in our restaurants, go to our dollar stores, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's kind of the issue here that I wanted to review with y'all, kind of tell you where we're at, and kind of maybe a direction. I'd like y'all to give me some direction on going, and I've got some ideas for that. Right now, currently under number 2, there's no fee scheduled for a long-term usage. Probably the people that would like to use it is an example of the church. Now, but being a Baptist pastor, Florida Baptist Convention has utilized schools throughout the state long time for years. Some churches that are church plants will have all their equipment in a trailer, and they'll pull up at a school auditorium. They'll get up, set up their chairs and their tables and their Sunday school material, all that kind of stuff. They'll do a service, and then after the service is over, they put it back in the trailer and they leave. Okay, that happened. This is not an uncommon practice for churches to do that. But that will probably be the kind of group or organization that would want it on a regular basis or long-term usage. The questions I have for an example, like possibly with her request, do they want it just for the AM service on Sunday? Do they want it for Sunday night service? Do they want it for Wednesday night service? What about special services, Saturday nights? I think of things, or other nights week. What if you have a revival? I know at our church we have a revival Sunday through Wednesday, or Wednesday through Sunday. I think this year, concerts, revivals, family reunions, weddings, those kind of events where you might need it more than just Sunday. You know, I want to be letter D there, basic fairness with those seeking long-term usage. I had shared with, I think Jody or one of y'all, I can't remember now. We had an outside church wanted to come in here, and I'll be honest, I didn't feel good about it. I did not feel good about the presentation they kind of made to me, and so I began to quiz. They dropped some names of some people they do here. And okay, So I called them and they said, they're gonna come in and they're gonna, you know, churches, unfortunately, I'm a pastor of one, the churches can scam people out of money. Religious organizations been doing it for years. You know, main thing you deal in usually is cash. So it makes it hard for the IRS to get on top of that. So, you know, we're at our church, we're very careful, probably like y'all at your churches, that you're very careful to handle that in a correct way, or the way that has integrity. But when you have outside people wanting to use your building, that's an issue. And so I would definitely want to, let's look at serving Liberty County folks who, if we decided we wanted to do that. There may be some conflicts with existing scheduling. For example, somebody says we want to have a revival Sunday through Wednesday, but we know they got a basketball game on Tuesday night somewhere, and they need the gym. Obviously, anything and everything we do would have to take precedence over anything that they want to do. And that, of course, that just comes down to scheduling. The available facilities would be Hosser, Toller High School, and then the district office. Currently, we have been renting our facilities. We've primarily been here at the district office. CW Roberts, there's been I want to say Winter College, was it community wellness or community healthcare? I can't remember the name of it. They used it for trainings. Talcott Electric has used Hosford School for a meeting. We've had the New Liberty County High School gym. We hosted Marco Rubio, the Republican Party rented that. They paid the fees, didn't waive any fees for them because they're, you know, so there's some waivers we can do. We try to do it if it's benefit kids. They still have to provide the insurance, but we have waived fees in certain situations. CW Roberts, I guess most of the time they give us oodles of money for teacher appreciation, for back to school breakfast. And I'll be honest with you, I let them use it for free. They pay so much stuff for us. So you know, that's one of the things I didn't call you on. I felt like I knew what the answer would be. If y'all need to know more of that, I'd be glad to share that. But I felt like, look, they're partnering with us. They only need it one time this year. You can use it, go use it. You know, district costs. This is where we get down to you know what. Right now we're charging about $35 an hour, and I want to say that's the same figure it was in the 90s. Here's what here's our rental agreements. Now, renter provides insurance. This is current policy and practice. It's $1 million worth of coverage. It costs literally not a whole lot of nothing to get that. If you have larger numbers of people, you know, you start. I know for the Gam brothers, we did a sheriff's sing down at the Marina Civic Center back when it was open. I would insure it for 1,800 people, and it was the same if I had 10 people. So I think there's about a 2,000 or 2,500 limit. Obviously, we're not going to look at those kind of numbers here, but it's very affordable insurance, honestly. You've got electricity costs, you have water costs, you have janitorial costs, you have LP gas. We've got, if a group wanted to come in here and use this and the kitchen, obviously, you know, they may want to use it for a fellowship hall. They may want to cook meals there. These are some of those things that is not spelled out in our policy right now. Right now, $35 an hour for non-school related usage. Some issues, 4D, security and space from current offices. Obviously, now this is the district office. So we currently don't have a way to really kind of isolate that area during the day. We're here, you know, and so we kind of can monitor that. Some of y'all may or may not know that. Can I turn that? So we got cameras everywhere here, so please be careful. We watch it. In fact, during our meeting, we saw some people in the gym should have been there, and I told Jeff, I said, "Good deal." And we watched Jeff come in there and do what he needed to do. But when you're here, that's not so much a problem. When you're not here, that's going to be the thing. Could we invest in doors that would lock off that area? Absolutely. We can do that. It would be a little bit of cost, but yes, we could do that with some planning. But you know, $35 an hour probably just don't get it. Now, let me put my pastor hat on. If I want to start a church, this would be an ideal way of doing it. Say, okay, so I'm going to use 2 hours on Sunday morning, and that's it. Okay, so that's $70 plus my insurance, which probably cost me another $70 to $150. I'm taking up offerings. Why do I want to go build a building? I'll just have my church room right here. I got everything in there. I got bathrooms, I got toilets, I've got sinks, I've got build space, I've got a kitchen for a fellowship hall, I got plenty of space. That is a cheap church setup. Just telling you from a pastor perspective, that's a pretty good deal. I think probably, I think we need to look at is what should we, if y'all even want to do this at all, what should we look at for a longer term lease or a longer term use? Let me give you an example, 5A, and I'll shut up and we'll talk about it. The old adult education, which is right out there, we were getting $2,000 a month from the county while they were doing renovation work at Civic Center. Now they were using 8 hours a day. That was every day, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and that was $2,000 a month. And I thought that was fair for commercial property. I can tell you, I've inquired about these dollar stores. They want about $4,500 a month for leasing it. That's also a possibility for a church. Somebody, you could take one of those dollar stores and do it. They don't want to sell it. They like residual income, which is kind of what I like too. I like having money come in. North Florida Child Development, we are still in negotiations with them to use this thing, and that's something that I would like to use indefinitely and have some income coming in. Residual income for usage is useful. If we know that we're renting space and we know that we're getting X amount of dollars a month, that's pretty cool, to be able to do. So here's the questions I want to throw at y'all. Number one, do we want to? And if y'all need more time to think about it, that's fine. We can talk about it at another workshop or board meeting. I just needed to start that conversation for a couple reasons. It really does need addressing. And we're getting requests for that. Is that something we want to do? Do we want to go in the rental business? Do we want to charge enough to make it worth our while? Or do we want to say this area here at the district office, and I can make great arguments either way. County office needs to be for only during the day, and if we're not here, nobody else needs to be here. The gym is a little different. It's a separate building. You know what I'm saying? You can give somebody a key. I believe half of Bristol has a key to the gym anyway. We're finding out that people get into that gym. That's a separate building. Of course, don't have cooking facilities, kitchen, and all that kind of stuff, but you can do some light stuff out there. But if they are willing to pay the price and use that, it's a great space to hold a lot of people. And you could almost divide it and say, we're gonna do a Sunday school class down here, Sunday school class down here, come for one and eat afterwards or whatever. Just need to know kind of the direction. Like I say, if y'all need more time, that's fine. If you want to talk about it tonight, that's fine too. But we do have a request on the table. And with Miss Gloria, and I told her what we were doing. I said, we're gonna talk about it in the workshop and then we'll go from there if that's something the board wants to do. But I told her right now, and I was very transparent with her. I said, Miss Gloria, $35 ain't enough, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
But I don't think we, anyway, do it or not, we don't need to go in the hole.
Correct. I think $35 if I were you.
I mean, your light bill up here, you ain't pay this light bill. I mean, it's like $28,000. It's every year a month, but you still got a thing with their insurance and all. But then we've got to have somebody that's going to be going behind it and check around and say, hey, okay, well, they damaged the chair or the wall toward.
We've had
This hasn't been changed since 2013.
I think the rates have been the same since.
It has been, it's been forever.
It's been in there. We've had plumbing, and I tell you right now, we got plumbing issues up here, not to scare anybody off, but your brother Draw comes up here a lot with the big snake, and it's mainly in the women, but it kind of is.
And we personally written it out kind of individually for a night or whatever. I really don't have an issue with that, but renting it long term, it's kind of like you said, if I want to start a church, it's okay to start a church, but after a month, you need to be letting us know you got another building and you're moving on.
It's easy as, we just don't do long-term, we don't do long-term leases.
Yeah.
We do short-term, 1 night, 2 nights, That's it, and.
That's what I think it should be, that's what I think, that's my personal opinion.
And it ain't about a church or anything else,
Right.
we just don't, we're gonna do short-term leases, that's gonna be 1 or 2 nights. 1 or 2 days for training, I mean, or, you know, a week for training, that's which is a training event. But if you get into long-term leasing, it is the same thing like when I'm thinking about it in my head, RVs. You know, I'd like to do a couple RV spots, you get them in long-term.
Yeah.
Well, the way you do that, if you do the short term, so. I mean, it's still would be Gloria doing it, but she only does it on Sunday.
And let me,
And I'm gonna do it next Sunday, and
let
next
me ask
Sunday.
you a question.
You know what I mean?
That's a long term, you, how long are you gonna be on this space?
What I'm saying, she may just wanna come in and go on this day from here to here, from this day. to here.
Well, so using her question, she's wanting to use it more.
And we're talking
Maybe,
about.
maybe indefinitely.
Let me ask you this, you say they got to buy the insurance, $1 million insurance policy, and we've been doing that for years. But if a person come in and say they got the $1 million insurance, how long is that good for? Is it good for one weekend, or is it good for a month? Or is it good
They
for-
usually have to specify when they get it, what, like, if it's a 1-night deal. That is good for that 1 night.
If she does it indefinitely for you, you're gonna be doing an insurance policy for the motion.
So
bad
be a year-to-date policy.
See, I don't know if anybody's gonna run. Or anybody else who wants to use it long term.
But that's gonna be, gonna go like a aggregate.
That's what I'm, it's gonna be like.
It's affordable. I don't know that anybody's gonna underwrite it.
If you do it for you.
Ultimately, not right.
What you're trying to do,
I personally am.
1 night a year.
Yeah, you know, she wants to rent it this Sunday, next Sunday, or 3 Sundays, or 4 Sundays, or, you know, Wednesday night. But as far as setting up a long-term rental agreement, and that would be for anybody, in any time.
You know, I mean, at that point, if you do,
If
if you do long term.
That's what Judge was saying. You could say, we can do 1 month. That's the longest you can use it continually.
And it's gonna be this amount, because $35 an hour is not gonna pay for the life, fuel, or whatever they do in there. Or say.
I can tell you, when we told Calvin, they did a meeting in Oxford, when we told her about it, they said, excuse me. Oh, okay. I mean, they were like, wow.
Yeah, we don't have this the rest of the day.
Yeah. Then they start doing their annual meeting in Oxford School, and they go to the whole, cooperative.
So what do you guys think on the hourly rate?
I don't know, I'm sitting here thinking, I mean.
Okay, so tonight, I didn't, and if I didn't communicate this, I don't need an answer tonight. If y'all need more time to think about it, I can talk to y'all individually. And then y'all kind of maybe give me a direction there, and then maybe come back and we can workshop it maybe before the meeting next month.
It's not something we have to like have a
Correct.
public meeting, we vote on and all that.
No.
Yeah, we need to do our homework, find out what the curve rates.
Why don't y'all let me do this? Why don't I call, I know Bay County uses the church, uses the school. By the way, Mr. Hussell resigned
What?
from the superintendency of Bay County. It's effective July in the school year. I have a gut feeling I think he's ready to go pastor. He said that. He told me he thought he was not gonna finish his term.
The rate per hour is kind of getting me, I'm getting caught on the rate per hour versus the amount per square foot.
Yeah, and
That's
we're
me.
offering nice specific.
That's
It's
me,
not
I
like
mean,
it's, you know what I mean? It's a nice, whatever we are.
I tell you, I would call the schools around, the districts around here and find out what they're doing. I can do that, and I can get Thad's to do it, they'll do it without the state.
I mean, what's the civic center charge for a night?
I can tell you,
Can't read it right now, you're gonna look, but.
we're gonna have,
Civic Center Bondstown, we were going to get dramatic reception was. The $250 for an evening, 3 hours,
Yeah.
and then $50 an hour after that. It was very affordable. I mean, we were like blown away how inexpensive it was. Now, I don't know that's what the rates are now, but all I know is 2 months before the wedding, they told us we couldn't use it due to COVID. So that was a problem.
I think somebody stays on Slack with them also.
Yeah, and they have somebody, they have somebody that works. But let me do this, if y'all okay with this, I'll poll other districts and see what they're doing. And see what their policies are and shoot that out. Well,
It was, you know, like she said, where the footage, where.
yeah, see, some of them may do it by side, because one's bigger than the other, you know.
Yeah, you may rent the gym, but you know.
The gym's gonna be a different rate than the auditorium.
It's not air conditioned over there, you know,
Right.
it is air conditioned or whatever,
Right.
but $35 definitely doesn't get it. That won't pay for the phone. You know, and the thing is, if you put that in whatever the writing is, you know, with somebody on this. In our policy, it's your duty to clean it up, or there's gonna be, you're gonna lose a deposit of whatever the deposit is. That's just like a wedding venue or anything of that nature.
That's right.
And if you want us to clean it up, then it's gonna cost you this much.
That's right. Okay, I'll do that. Any other questions for that?
Do we need to give you these? No.
The scoring sheets,
Yeah.
can we come do that last, because this next one should take. And then we'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Okay, so the resolution, this morning, the county commission approved this resolution. This is almost verbatim to theirs. All I did was cut, paste, and take county commission out to the school board. So let me give y'all just a little background history. A few weeks ago, I found out that we had over almost 13,000 acres of Liberty County land that the state was fixing to buy. I know that bothers all of us a lot, because that comes off the tax roll and forever. And so any kind of revenue that you get off of that land, whether it be adding more taxes, timber, or any all of the above, we lose that. County loses it, we lose it. And so in 1993 and again in 2019, the county commission did resolutions asking the state and federal government, please don't do this. Now, y'all know a resolution is just this is our stance. It has no binding authority. It just says this is our stance. Daniel, our clerk of court, called me and says, did you know about this? I said, I did not. It was already on the governor's cabinet agenda. You purchase it. That along with some other land into other different counties. And so the other counties might have been a few acres here, a few acres there. Ours was almost 1,000 acres. So I will tell you, there were some people in this county, and I'm just going to be transparent with you, who were took it upon themselves to talk to people at the governor's office and on the cabinet, and were very successful in getting it taken off the agenda. It came off the agenda. When I was made aware of it, and again, in total transparency, I don't like it. But I don't think the school board, or the county commission, or my office, or any other office in this county has the authority or the power or the legal means to tell a private landowner, you can't sell your land. I ain't found it. I don't know that we tell the governor and the state, you can't buy it. Now, we can protest, we can pitch fit, we can do all what we can do, but as far as it's stopping it, I've not found that yet. I've looked, I've not found that ability. So Daniel and I, and Hannah was gonna go sit down and make a presentation to the governor. Here's what we found out through all this process. Y'all know we get built money from the federal government, the forest, Appalachian National Forest, about $300,000 a year, payment in lieu of taxes. Well, we got state land. Come to find out, guess what? Liberty County schools don't get any money. Built money. Do what? The county commission does. They get it. So here's what we're trying to find out. And Miss Marie's trying to figure it out. We're all putting our heads together. Does the county get an allocation, goes to Miss Marie Goodman, And then that is that supposed to be divided between us and the county commission? She's done nothing wrong. Nobody, there's no hanky panky, there's no impropriety. We just gotta find out what's the procedure here. We know what our procedure is with the federal PILT money. We have to give the sheriff a certain amount. And then they get some, they can, theirs is restricted, they can only use it for roads and bridges, but we can use it for whatever we want to. But the county gets about $30,000. So, right now, we get this much PILT money, and it's only based on water management properties. It's $281, a whole $281. So, we have started that process of trying to figure it out. We were going to go make a presentation in front of the cabinet to say, look here, we would, if you're going to buy our land, then y'all need to do like what Florida Forest Service does. You remember they bring us a check for about $18,000 a year based on camping sales and fees and timber, somewhere usually anywhere between 17 and 22,000. We feel like they should have to do that with us. Well, we're not getting any money from Torrey Park, Nature Conservancy, some of these state things that have come in and bought this property. So we're just saying, look, say if you're gonna buy land, Governor, if you're gonna buy the land, can you help a brother out? We need, whoever's gonna, here's what I'm being told, FWC is gonna manage it. Which would, to me, mean that they're gonna possibly make a hunt area out of that. That means there's gonna be, special license for that, management area license. How about giving us a cut of that, since it's we got lost revenue? Now you're making money off the land, we're not making any. The ad valorem taxes for this tract of land is about $12,000 a year, it's not much. But that's what it is now. For timber, stumps, honey, whatever, there's, you know what I'm saying? And we all gotta look beyond our tenure in leadership. Let's look 30 years down the road. Because guarantee it, 30 years, none of it's gonna be here, we've got term limits, what is that gonna look like for the next group that comes here? We need to make sure we're trying to get some revenue off that. So I said all that to say this, those folks that tried to represent us, and I do mean us, the county, they went to the governor's office and said, hey, this is the county's position on this. That was said. That was said. This is the county's position. Well, guess what? County commission hadn't given a position in the form of a resolution, nor had the board. I take that as an insult. But these are some people who assert themselves, and it's their right to do, but don't say I represent the county. Say you represent your own, and that's fair. That's fair. So Daniel and I both talked. We feel like the board and the county needs to be singing out the same hymn on this one. So they passed this. This was a 5-0 vote this morning. It's identical to what they passed, except the verbiage has changed to the board were at county commission. I would like y'all to approve that at the February meeting 13th. So if you want to look at it, you want to tweak it, you feel like it needs to say something or not say something, this is just for your benefit tonight. If you'll look at that, but I think it says a lot. It basically says leave our land alone, but if you're gonna buy it, we need some remuneration for it. From now on,
Yeah.
and perpetuity is the word. But the board got behind that this morning, and I would like us to do the same. But if y'all want to tweak it, that's fine, that's good, I'm okay with that. But this is what they passed, and all I did, like I say, is just change county commission to school board. Okay,
So you got that, I don't know if you're talking to everybody on the board about, but I know the other day, and I was trying to write it down as you telling you, breaking it down per acre, what the county owns, what the school board owns, what the state owns, what the federal, you had all those.
Give me 2 seconds.
And this is, you're in line a little bit on this, and what he can tell me, of how all our acreage is split. In the county, who owns what, whether it's the federal government or state government,
yeah.
individuals.
Yeah, I'll just get, and I'll send this to you as well. Daniel prepared this as well, and I'll send this to you. Liberty County has 534,000 basically in some change acres. Federal lands 270,000. State-owned lands 34,000. This would add an additional 12. Guess what? They want more. They're looking at some on the river. River Swamp.
Well, they already got that.
They got some.
Yeah, that-
There's,
Them seats getting all that. I mean,
there's another. County-owned lands, obviously, this would be what the county owns, 540 acres, nonprofit, 6,500 acres, cemeteries, 22 acres, schools, we have 118. City of Bristol, 59, utility companies, 231, railroad, 21 acres. Residential acreage is 9,600 acres, commercial, 1,600, ag acreage is 181,000, and churches, which is, are mostly tax exempt, 61 acres. So 63% of our land base is not taxable. That's. So, right now, state owns 57,000, this is a pending sale of 12,400 acres with a potential addition of 20,000 acres by the end of the year, John. So you're approaching 100,000 acres in our county that will no longer be ours, or in opportunity for private owners.
That's about, if you get the rest of it, that's about another. But they don't talk about $50,000 in taxes, which will not be getting. I heard that.
And our tax base are already.
We are one of 7 fiscally, Daniel does a wonderful job putting this together. You know, we're one of, I think, 2 counties in the Panhandle that does not have an interstate or coastal property, you know, and so it's pretty incredible. Going back to the state pill money, that's in statute. So Chris Doolan's been helping me with that. We had a big meeting last week about that. One good thing that come out of that is there, somebody from the state, DP said, well, if you haven't been getting it, you can apply. We think you can go down 10 years and get it in arrears.
Okay.
So that might be a possibility that since they didn't pay it and we were entitled to it, we may be able to go back. They told me and Daniel about that. So we're researching that quickly.
Will the school board entitled to it?
Sir?
Will the school board entitled to it?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Because I know that question come up before, and I asked about it, and they said that we can look.
Well, there's 2 statutes, and I'll send this to you as well. Florida statute 259-032 addresses the loss of revenue to local governments, and then there's 589 that talks about Florida Forest Service gives us that 15%, but it's 259.032.
And that's loss of revenue.
The loss of revenue to local governments, and it says, if payment in lieu of taxes shall be available to all counties that have a population of 150,000 or fewer, that's us. And it does say, it goes to, any taxable or tax authority, thank you, James, you read the brain. Any tax authority, so that would be the county and us. Yeah. So that's it. 250. I'll send y'all this. I'll send you this.
There's a whole lot more.
I agree, but I have a very split feeling on this, and it's just talk out loud. Somebody could come in and buy this property, develop, and we need some affordable housing,
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
They go in, they buy this property and they develop it and they bring in, 20,000 people. That's just, go right down 231. See what I'm talking about?
Right.
The housing industry is just blowing up. People are moving to these, we've had people moving in here from California. They're buying houses left and right. Okay. I agree. And I'm definitely not about the tax loss, the money, losing money in any way, taken away from our children. But I also realize that there's property that, like I said, could be bought by a private individual to do that and make Liberty County I don't know, Quincy or a town. I'm not anything against Quincy, just, is there, there's just, it's a double-edged sword in my opinion.
About privacy and.
Right, I mean, if you make it a WMA and you protect that land, then it's very hard to reverse that. I know that because I work with DEP. That's what I'm saying, we'll never get it back, but it's our land. It's state, no, it's like sacred land, you don't, you know. We'll never get it back, but we'll also never have to worry about a mall sitting there either.
Right.
So you gotta look at every side of this, you know, if we lose however much money, 20,000, whatever, you know, in taxes over a period of time. Is it worth the fight to do something like this and say we oppose is a strong word.
Well, I don't think they're saying opposed to this. I think what
Uh,
Kyle was talking about,
it's
Yeah.
close.
well, I mean, it may say that, but like I told Kyle before, you know, you don't play the devil's advocate, you say, just like you did. Look, you know, if you're gonna buy the land, you're gonna get it. If the government wants to get it, he's gonna get it.
He's gonna get it. I mean,
It's going to be back on the agenda in March.
Yeah,
right now,
it's gonna be
It's
that
supposed to be back
March.
on the agenda in March.
And it'll be done, and the thing is, to say, look, we don't want you to, but if you do. Kind of help us out here a little bit, we want to, you know, give us some bill money or something, or.
instead of say we don't want you to, if you do. Say it a different word. If you do it,
But that,
we know you can.
so if you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth whereas. It says, while the Liberty County School Board opposes, and this is again just a draft, opposes the state or federal government for purchasing land in County, the board recognizes the benefit of state-owned land.
I agree, but if that was to be turned around, just a little, that wording there is very strong to me.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna come right out and say, we oppose you buying our land, period.
So let me talk as Kyle, okay, so let me talk as Kyle Petty, private citizen, I am opposed. I don't like the state comes in, this is Kyle Petty, the citizen. I believe the world functions on private ownership as much as possible. If the government continues to come in, look, I tell you a county that's in, the most of their county is a governmental land, is Franklin County. Now, they got that little thing called secular dialogue that makes up for it. It from an ad valorem tax value, you know, you got $1 million homes down there. Most of Franklin County is not owned by Franklin County folks. And that happened one parcel at a time. We've got a lot of, I agree, I like the fact,
And I
The
see,
idea-
I respect and see.
Yeah,
where you're
yeah.
coming from.
I'm just saying that.
Just kind of, I need this, I just need to see every side of it, you know.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting last Monday. It's last Monday? I'm losing track of time. What's today, Tuesday? Last week, how about that? Can't remember. It was last Monday. So it was Chamber of Commerce meeting. Mr. Johnny stood up and made this statement. We dodged a bullet on the sale of this land. And you know, the state is trying to buy more and more things. That takes away from our opportunity to be self-sufficient. And we need to oppose that any time that comes up. It's almost a standing ovation. I've talked to a lot of people about this. And I think people, it's one of those things, I don't like it. I don't want y'all to stop. But I think that was the sentiment from the county commission.
Right.
We don't like it. But if you don't do it, have some kind of funding mechanism.
Exactly, I agree with that part.
Right.
Now, and I don't think I've ever heard this. Has the state ever come in and bought property and turned around and gave it back to the county?
This is a private owner.
I understand, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not aware of.
They never, but she say, take like this from this private.
If they buy, well, they turn around and give it, if the county wanted it, if the county says, help us,
I would think they would have to be a bid.
or we.
I'm not aware of any, but I would think. if they
I've
did it,
never heard of it.
Yeah, I think they have to bid, it'd be to the highest bidder. It always has to be.
Well, it used to be in statute years ago, if the state had, because I know when we got rid of 13 prisons, I remember this. When, back in the day now, I think that statute is gone now, but first dibs went to state county.
Other government.
Governmental entity.
You're right about that.
Yeah,
On that.
I've got a feeling, and I think this popped up on the jail, when I was looking in the jail. Working with DP too, I think that statute's been rescinded.
I just want y'all to think about it. This is what they come up with. I want us to be, like I say, singing at the same hymn, but if y'all have some different ideas, this is gonna be your resolution, but I do think we need to let the world, we need to let them know, we need to let the government and legislature know what our stance is, so nobody tries to say, I know what the school board's thinking, and that's what happened here. That, I can't stop them from doing that.
Right.
I think it's awful, but that's happening, and that's what really got led.
And it's going back on the agenda when?
March.
So we just slowed it down. Somebody slowed it down,
Right.
it stopped.
And let me say, that ain't necessarily a bad thing, because now we're having some conversations, and we're gonna continue to have those conversations. Daniel and I are gonna go spend some time with Petronas to try to listen to what, because he's very, we talk with his folks, they are very empathetic to what our situation is. They get it. Of course, he does, because he's from the Panhandle. He understands that he's been here different times. He's got lots of friends over here. So we're having that, we're trying to strike a deal here. If it's gonna happen, let's get the best deal possible. That benefits us as a taxing authority and government, and also our citizens.
But at the end of the day, I mean, even if the state buys it and they say, no, we're not giving you anything, we're gonna buy the land, that's that, then we have to accept that. I mean, but we don't wanna make them mad and say that.
You don't want to have to take a bulldog.
You can't make bulldog.
You want to get.
You gotta,
You gotta have some decorum about how you handle this, some statesmanship, for sure. But if y'all look at that, and what I'll do is I'll send y'all what Daniel sent me as far as these stats, and then maybe we'll come back, talk about that individually, and y'all kind of let the guy know what put it in the agenda. The agenda will need to go out next Monday. Right. So we got the rest of this week. All right. Anything else on that, y'all? Okay, lastly, scoring sheets. Y'all give me a direction. Do y'all want to, have you scored them? Okay, do y'all want to pass them out here and let me announce what we're looking at and then kind of start some discussions from there?
I told her, I don't know about
Okay.
that.
Is there shortly over there? No, that's what it is. Everything. I got my vote down. Sorry.
You got the rest of it.
She's been gone an hour. We're not really here, are we?
Do y'all need a 2-minute break? Let me score these.
Okay,
So this is what I just spoke about. So, you got a total there, Jack, 423, that was for an average score of 84.6. Jennifer's was 482, with an average score of 96.4. So, for our schedule, y'all can, again, we're not taking action tonight, other than you can say, we'd like you to engage one or the other for some negotiations, and then y'all can tell me what those negotiation things are, if there's things you want to negotiate.
I've already given you my negotiation
Yeah.
points. There's only a few. When I evaluated, I saw some things that I
Okay.
thought possibly could be negotiated or clarified. I'm not sure. But speaking for Bodie, I recommend that we go with, the evaluators team.
Okay.
High school.
Okay.
And begin negotiations.
Anybody else?
I'm on board with that, it's looking scored, and just as good as anybody else. You see my scores up there, that's flexible, what I believe, of the should. But there is one thing that I ask, when you're negotiating with it, for
You can do this. We don't have to, since we're negotiating with, that does have to be public record, so.
okay. I'll just call you,
Okay,
but that's my recommendation.
okay.
I'm good with the payments, totals, so on.
Mr. James? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, ain't it? It is what it is.
Okay. So again, that's not a rubber stamping that she's got the job. What I'll do is and again, I'll communicate with y'all tomorrow. And let you know, I send you these things today, y'all know how to do those emails, and I'll just say, look, send me your negotiation things, anything you got questions about, we'll get that back to you. And then we'll talk from there, and then, what I'll do is if everything goes forward, I'll put that as an agenda item next Monday. And then vote on it the following Monday. Is that okay? This is a first, so y'all let me know.
Well, I got.
You got hard with it.
I got a question on. For you, is how do you feel about this right here, superintendent? How do you feel about what we came up with?
I think you did a great job. I really think you did your due diligence. I think they both did a good presentation today. Very enlightening on both of them. Two very qualified folks. I thought you did a great job. But I think y'all did your due diligence, so I think that what we wanted to accomplish, what y'all wanted to see happen, objectively happen, you know.
Shame we don't need two of them.
That's a shame we need one at all.
Yeah.
It's a shame we need one at all. But I mean, you gotta have her. Even though we do have PAC back, so you gotta have.
Okay, any other instruction? If anybody's got some heartburn about it, or you say, I don't know, I'm okay with it, y'all let me know, because this is y'all's hire. This is your hire, and I want y'all to feel good about it. I want us to be in unity. We have been for 2 years. I like it.
I'm looking at the score, we're talking what? Part, yeah.
Real close.
They're pretty close. They were pretty close. It was a tight run. So two good attorneys applied. I think it was fair, open competition, and there it is.
Yep.
Scores, numbers don't lie. So
Okay. And for transparency's sake, nobody knew what each other scored.
No, these were independent evaluations.
right.
I mean,
That's right. I didn't go around saying, hey, James, Jody scored this, or Boo, this is what Duty scored, to try to stack any, and we kept those confidential. And that's what we did.
Right.
All right, well. Mr. Chair, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
I'm sorry. Thank you, buddy, for leading us today to me. You do a lot of that, I just appreciate you.
great job.
Well, thank you.
Please don't ever let me have to come behind you. to speak.
Me neither,
Ever.
but I appreciate it.
I feel good about what we're asking. You know, I know the county's asking, they got a lot last year. And they're asking for a lot this year, you know, in my conversations with Patrick. Be realistic and, you know, and I feel like, could we have asked for 10 things? Yeah, absolutely, we got none of them. I'd rather get a little bit every year than none by asking a lot.
I just a quick question. The new market tax credit, you heard anything on that, on a few days?
Eric did die. He passed away. I talked with Monica Blanton, our funding person, yesterday. She said, I'm in still, I'm in. We're just trying to work out those fine details. Jody, I need to talk. I need to see Neil Dunn. I need to be in his presence.
Have you talked to Wayne?
I have.
Is he, okay, we'll talk.
So we'll talk.
Yeah,
We just need him here. Or me up there, whatever's got to do, we gotta get it the same room.
Was his brother able to get into
Yes,
some of the stuff?
yes.
Good.
okay.
So
What
everything's
about
been.
the deadline? What about the deadlines? Did the deadline
what we
about to
got.
go?
That, right now, the deadline was December 31st,
Right.
but there was nothing that couldn't make them push it a little forward to go, because you have a 3-year look back, but then the awards didn't go out to the end of November. So it left you like 2 or 3 weeks to get them in. There was no way to do that. They are still having those conversations with that CDFI fund to extend it. We need them to do it. I need Neil Dunn to go to the Department of Treasury and say, need to happen. But it couldn't happen. It really couldn't. He didn't have any leverage until the new contract.
Okay, it's my understanding that Landon was going to, you and Landon were gonna talk. And Landon could pretty much do anything you needed to be done.
So he referred me to Nicole Smith,
Who's Nicole, huh?
one of Representative Dunn, and Nicole Smith. And he said, she's the one that handles all this.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, that's fine. I said, that's what I've been talking to anyway. He said, she's your one. I've not been very successful getting size and scope to her and the importance.
Okay,
So I need to get back with him and I need to get removed with the representative.
okay,
Because this is about 1.1 million for us.
Okay.
This is a big deal, huge deal, which means basically Congress needs to get the Department of Treasury to say, look, let's be fair here now. We're gonna do a 3-year look back. Y'all don't approve that, then give them time to close deals
okay.
with that 3-year look back. But again, there's no statute right now that prohibits it. They just got to do it. They got to do it.
Okay.
But our funding source, she told me, she said, I'm not looking to fund anything else but yours. I want to fund your project. She told me that.
Well, she had a lot more money than that too.
She's got more money, but she said, right now, I'm not looking at any other projects. She said, until we get this all resolved, she said, I'm hanging tight with her. Yeah,
She's good for stuff, man.
she's good for a $7 million allocation, with in turn is 1.1 million for us.
And this is, it's critical, and I
It
told you
is.
this the other day, it is critical that we keep communicating and let our staff, the public understand that, you know, we need this money.
Bad.
But if we don't get this money, and we didn't get the tax, and, you know, where's that field house? We've got to be transparent about it, we gotta be talking about it.
Right, that's right.
Because, you know, I don't want people to say, well, you guys were supposed to get $1 million to finish the field house, what happened to it?
Right.
And that boat's been sailed
Yeah,
6 months.
exactly.
We gotta be talking about this, let people know.
This,
Y'all understand, it ain't gonna happen.
Big
until-
things.
We're not getting-
I'll tell you, and I spoke, I think Jody or Boo, or maybe both of y'all, I was going, and I would have put the bill and will still do that, I was gonna fly out to, if they had a funeral this week, I was going to the funeral. For 2 reasons, number one, Eric Dave's been good to us, that man's been good, he got little kids. So I've been communicating with his wife, I felt like out of respect and what he's done for us. Second thing, I need to meet that brother. you know, Eric got involved in Liberty County and Calhoun County after Hurricane Michael. So I kind of kidded him a little bit. When I first talked to him before we ever did that Zoom, I said, you probably don't even know where hospital is. And he said, but I know where Connor's at. I sat down, I went, oh, yeah. But he was very familiar with this area. This brother is not. I need them to understand what, I mean, Eric got it. He got it. He understood rural Panhandle, Florida. It was his job to. He made money off of that. It was fair, nothing immoral or illegal about it. That's his job. He was very involved in the hospital, the new hospital. Of course, they can't get this funded after the thing's completed.
How, and I hate this. How are we going to pay him for the services up to him?
We don't.
He's already budgeted.
So in our agreement with him and our engagement letter, and it's this way with anybody and everybody. He typically got 25,000 up front, and then they would take that out of the proceeds. He did not, he was so confident on this last project and this one. He said, I'm telling you, you're gonna get it. Says you don't owe me nothing. I won't get paid if you don't. So in our letter of engagement with him, that's what that is. We don't pay him unless.
So now, will we go into another letter of engagement with his brother?
Well, I don't know that because we did it with Davis Business Advisory, which is the name of this company.
Right.
So depending on what Christina does with the business, that, and then I wanted to be sensitive because, I was thinking, he's not even buried yet.
Yes, absolutely.
So he's gonna be cremated. They're looking at a funeral. He's from Portland. His mom and dad's in Portland. She said that'll be where they do the service. So I'll probably go it. But that doesn't mean I can't. So me and Matt Fuquay's already been talking. Alan Pasternak, who's the attorney out there, we've been talking. We're keeping everything going. They've got it on his laptop. Everything that we need, we have. The thing is I need the motivation to push it through. From them and this new guy. I need him to advocate.
Now. Looking to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.